only solution is
But
to
he's
do
the
it.
one who has the phone, but it's not me.
Oh.
The only live. We on?
I think.
I think we are. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
You good?
6 people just joined. Yep.
Okay. So we good. Good evening, brothers and sisters. This is Dr. Umar Johnson. I am live in South Jersey, and today I'm going to be conducting my very first live Black parent consultation. The reason we're doing this live is we want to give you guys an opportunity to learn about some of the issues that we're having in school, public, parochial, charter, and independent school, as it relates to protecting our children. Although most of the time we're talking about saving our sons, tonight we're going to be talking about saving one of our daughters, one of our beautiful Black princesses. So tonight's consult is going to focus on one of our young ladies. This is not a therapy session. It is not a psychological evaluation. And we want to thank the mom, the mother, our sister, the queen here, for being gracious enough to let you guys in her home to hear this conversation, in hopes that if there's some other Black parents out there going through the same thing that she's going through, you'll be able to learn about some strategies, some techniques, some laws, and some steps that you can take to help protect your children as she's learning to protect hers. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening. How you doing today, young lady?
Good evening, Dr. Umar Johnson.
All right.
Somebody said, please.
Now, you can't be talking because you taping. Okay? Now, tell me a little bit about what's going on.
Okay, what's going on is what I did was I signed up to put my daughter in extra help program.
You signed up for what you thought was an extra help program.
Absolutely.
But it turned out to be
Special education.
a special education program. When did you find out your daughter was in special education? Yesterday. Okay, how did you find out? Were you invited to a meeting? Tell me about that.
I found out my daughter kept crying out to me saying, Mom, I'm in this classroom with all these kids and they're crazy. We all got autism, ADHD, and all these disabilities. I said, why are you in a classroom like that? I said, I don't know. She said, but I know I don't belong here. And she said, I kept asking the teacher, why am I here? I'm supposed to be in another classroom. And they kept telling her, no, this is where you belong.
How long was your daughter in that classroom so far?
Beginning of the school year.
So she's been there since the beginning of the year.
Absolutely.
And how long has the school year been in session? When did they start back?
They just started back on the 7th.
The 7th of September. This is the 19th. So about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay.
But may I add, last year, when she first started the school year, she was in a program that was supposed to be helping her, which I signed up for.
Okay.
She was supposed to get extra help with another teacher, like another tutor helping her.
Okay. Did that happen?
Yes, that happened. And that's
She
not
did
what
get the tutoring.
Yes.
So how did the tutoring evolve into special education?
I have no idea how it changed on me like this. They did something behind my back that I was unaware of.
Okay. A couple of things before we go forward. Number one, it's illegal to evaluate a child for special education without the parent's consent. It's illegal to do that. Most schools are wise enough to never evaluate a child without parent permission, which leads me to ask you whether or not it's possible that you did sign a permission to evaluate form. Because a lot of times they give our parents these forms, we don't read them,
Absolutely.
or we just trust what they say and we sign. So do you think that it's a case of they just took her and tested her without your permission, or did you sign consent? Unknowingly, but do you think you signed the consent?
All above. They tested her. Also, I signed consent.
Okay.
Give me the go because I thought I was
You
getting
thought
her
it was
extra
sweet.
help.
Okay. That's one of the reasons why I always tell parents, whenever you get paperwork from the school, take it home, read it 3 times. Make sure you understand what's in that paperwork, because they depend on us not to read it. Not because we're lazy, but because we're trusting them.
But Dr.
Sure.
Umar, you also added on this paper right here, it had codes, it had numbers, and those numbers stood for something, okay? And it had initials, it stood for something I did not know.
Okay. Do you have any of the reports here?
I do.
Okay, let's get them. I would like to see them.
I can get them.
Yes.
These are all the papers that
Okay.
I signed.
Let's take a look. This testing. Regular standard testing. IEP notes. I see math. Speech and language. Does she get speech therapy?
No.
She doesn't. Because this has a speech and language goal.
She's
So-
not getting anything.
Okay. Well, then that's an issue because there's a speech and language goal on the IEP. So whenever there's a speech and language goal on the IEP, that means the child has been classified with a speech and language impairment.
Delay.
You don't know anything about that, or do you? Speech as a problem. Speech impairment. Did she ever get speech in preschool? Any speech service at all?
No.
Never.
This is my first encounter experiencing this.
So your daughter has a speech and language goal sheet, and you've never heard of her being evaluated or classified with a speech impairment.
No.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So this is a major case then. We got some major issues here. What I don't see here is a psychological evaluation that was done in the school to classify her for special education.
I had a psychiatrist come to my home and evaluate my child. He said
Okay.
there was nothing wrong with her.
Okay, but if she, okay, now when I look, let me look at this IEP again, because I saw speech, right? Which means she was evaluated by a speech pathologist and classified with a speech impairment. Let me see if I see anything other than speech. She will round 3-digit decimal numbers to the nearest hundredth. So that's math. So let's see here. First of all, this IEP is not complete. Let me see something here. Let me double check. And one thing you want to do is you want to get a binder and put all her documents in a binder, chronological order. That's the procedural safeguards. I don't think we have all the pages. Procedural safeguards, text to speech, administration and accommodations. I'm looking for the level of service. Third, okay, literature. I'm seeing literature. Okay, I don't see the cover sheet for the IEP. Are these the only sheets you have?
Yes.
Okay, they did not give you the complete IEP.
No,
Let me see this one. Yeah, this is not the IEP though. This is, and it's not all the pages. They didn't get, and the cover page is missing. The cover page tells you the disability, the level of service, why she in special ed. That's not here. So one thing we got to do, and I'm going to write it down, we got to get a complete copy of the IEP. But we're going to go further. Here we go. Wait a minute. I think we found it. IEP start date, September the 6th of 2018. So she just started, or this is a new IEP. Question is this the first IEP? Annual review. So because this says annual review, on June the 7th of 2018, so the end of last year, y'all had an IEP meeting to prepare for this year.
absolutely.
So that annual review means that she was already in special ed, or she was just placed in and qualified for special ed. To the best of your knowledge, but hold on, initial referral was May 11th of 2017, not May of 2018. So they saying she was referred in May of 2017. She's in 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
Now, so that means last year was 7th. She just started 8th. Last year was 7th.
Yes.
May of 17 was 7th. Excuse me, May of 18 was 7th. May of 17 was 6th grade. So they're saying in May of 6th grade, she was initially referred. They say that you signed permission to evaluate June the 2nd of 2017. Stay with me, and then I'm going to hear from you. Initial eligibility determination on August the 14th. You want to hear a coincidence?
What's the coincidence?
Who did I just tell you she looked like?
Your cousin.
When did I say my cousin was born?
Oh, Lord. On that date.
On that date.
Absolutely.
Anyhow, my apologies. I just had to throw that out there. Okay. She was determined eligible for special ed on August the 14th of 2017. Okay? The initial IEP meeting was the same day. And then you signed permission for her to receive service on August the 29th of 17. And then the initial IEP was implemented September the 7th of 2017. So they're saying, according to this IEP, your daughter has already done 1 full year in special ed last school year. This is the start of her second. You're telling me that for that whole year that she received special education, you were not aware of it?
No.
At all.
At all.
I want y'all parents to understand that, because this happens all the time. We have a mother who didn't even know her daughter was receiving special education for an entire year. She thought she signed up for extra help, and they manipulated her into signing up for special education. Read that paperwork. Take it home. Get someone to read it with you. Now, okay, so she's been in special ed for a year. Let's see what it was for. Classification, communication impaired. Communication impaired.
Unbelievable.
Okay? So why would they say she has a communication impairment? Hold on. Then it says multiple disabilities. So what that means is, in addition to the communication impairment, it appears here that they say she also has a disability in reading and math. And then speech and language therapy right here. So she was classified with a speech and language impairment somewhere. But let me tell you what we're missing that I really need to see. Before you get an IEP, there's a psychological evaluation. I'm a school psychologist. I would have tested her, qualified her for special ed. And then the IEP team comes up with this. If you have an IEP, you were tested by a school psychologist. Do you have the psychological evaluation report?
No.
Okay, so that's one thing we got to get.
Yes.
In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you request a complete copy of your daughter's academic record.
Okay.
That's going to be a short letter to the principal. I'm requesting a complete copy of my child's academic record to include all testing, special ed, grades, classroom data, and behavioral information. You got to write to that. That's going to give us everything, and we're going to see everything that happened. Because if I had that psych eval, that would help shed a lot on a lot of this. So anyhow, her classification is multiple disabilities. So they're saying she has more than one. Communication, and it looks like learning disability. Let me look here a little further. Okay, placement level. It says she's in the regular ed setting between 40 and 79% of the school day. That means she only gets pulled out. She only gets pulled out for special ed. That's good that she only gets pulled out. But wait, let me ask you a question. Because you just said, she said, Mom, I'm in a class with autistic kids,
Yes.
ADHD kids,
Yes.
students who don't appear, quote unquote, like the regular kids in the regular class.
Yes.
So if that's the class she's in,
She's stuck there all day.
are you there all day?
Yes.
Don't put the camera on you, but you're there all day. That means she's in full time. So here we go again. We have a dishonest IEP. We have an IEP that says a child is only in special ed for pullout because it says she's in regular ed 40 to 80%. Well, what's left from 80? 20. So you're saying this child is a pullout, but she's in there all day.
Yes.
And let me tell you why they're doing that.
It's driving her crazy.
And we're going to get her out. But let me tell you why they're doing that. The reason they're saying she's only in as a pullout is it's hard to justify putting a child in special education all day, no matter what the disability is. If you have a math disability, you should only be in special ed for what class?
For math.
And if you got a reading disability, you should only be in special ed for what class?
Reading.
Exactly. And so even with this so-called communication disorder, and we don't know what that is, correct?
No.
So we got to find that out. Even with this so-called communication disorder, that doesn't justify full-time placement. And they know it. So on the paper, they're saying we just pull her out.
Yes.
But in reality, she's in there all day.
Yeah.
And they're hoping that you don't know the law, that that's illegal.
Absolutely.
So, a couple things that we're going to keep going. We need a copy of her full academic record. I need to see the psychological evaluation that was done in June of 17. I need to see it a year ago, or a little more than a year now because we're in September. I need to see that evaluation. That's number one. Okay, number two, when you request a complete copy of your daughter's record, I want to look in that record to see if there's a signed permission to evaluate form from you. Because you believe you signed it, but guess what? This is just attendance of the IEP.
Oh.
This is not the form you signed to let them test her.
Okay.
You follow me?
Absolutely. Okay.
Even though you believe you signed it, I want to see if they have it. Because if they don't, there's a chance, a small chance, because they're normally not that dumb, but there's a small chance they tested your baby without your knowledge. That's a big-time lawsuit. Don't worry about that. So we got to get the full record. We're going to look at the psych eval. We already got them on one illegality, actually two illegalities. You have an IEP. By the way, this is a contract between you and the school district.
Yes,
The IEP is a legally binding contract. If this says she's only supposed to be in special ed for 20% of the week, and she's in special ed 100% of the week, they're breaking the law. Let me explain something to you. All of special education is based on two laws. One law is FAPE, F-A-P-E, FAPE. You want to remember that, FAPE. It means free and appropriate public education. A child with a disability can only be put in special ed. Let me take that back. A child with a disability doesn't have to pay for any services they need. Free, right? FAPE. And then appropriate. Free and appropriate means that education must be meaningfully created so that she can derive some sort of benefit. Mm-hmm. It should work for her.
Yes.
Free and appropriate, right? We will get back to that.
Okay.
But then the other law is LRE. And I need you to remember LRE. That stands for least restrictive environment. That means your daughter should not be in special ed any longer than what is absolutely necessary in order for her to learn. She just told you she's in special ed all day. You know what that means? She's full-time. But the law says what? Least restrictive. That means they got to justify why your daughter is in there all day when the IEP says only 20%. So they are being dishonest. They're lying on a legal document telling you that your daughter is only being pulled out for 20% of the week when she didn't already told you she in there all day. Now, you also said that she says she's in a class with autistic kids.
Absolutely.
And ADHD kids.
All disabilities, all.
Well, here's my question. Here's the interesting thing. It's not totally against the law to mix disabilities, but it's largely against the law to mix disabilities. Because it's hard to educate an autistic kid while you're educating a blind kid.
Absolutely.
It's hard to educate a blind kid while you're educating a deaf kid. It's hard to educate a deaf kid while you're educating an emotionally disturbed kid. Mm-hmm. It's hard to educate an emotionally disturbed kid while you're educating an intellectually impaired kid. It's hard to educate an intellectually impaired kid if you're educating a kid who's getting special ed for ADHD, which falls under a category called other health impairment. You follow me? Yeah. So normally you got different class for different disability. If you're telling me that they got all the kids from all the disabilities in one class,
yes,
then guess what?
All day long.
Nobody is getting a free and appropriate public education. Do you follow me on that?
Absolutely.
Nobody's getting it. There's no way you're going to tell me that you got a child with a communication impairment in the same class with autism, in the same class with ADHD. Hell no. So it sounds like that school is off the hook. Is this an off the hook school? Predominantly black or white? Don't say the name. Predominantly black or white? Students.
White.
The students are mostly white.
Yes.
Okay. The kids in special ed are mostly
Black and Spanish.
exactly. So we got railroad. That also means we got a potential civil rights issue. Okay? In the United States Department of Education, there's an Office of Civil Rights where you can, and we ain't there yet, we ain't nowhere near there yet, but down the road, you can potentially file a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights inside of the Department of Education saying that your daughter was discriminated against because she's a black female. Are you following me on that?
Absolutely.
That y'all took and did this to her because I'm black, she's black, and you thought I was dumb enough to let y'all do it. That's down the road, though. We ain't there yet.
Okay.
So, we need a psych report. We need a complete copy of the whole record. It appears, based on your daughter's testimony, that the IEP is inaccurate, that it's deceiving, that they're telling you she's only getting 20% of special ed, but she's in there all day. And I believe her because they do it all over America. They do it all over America. On the IEP, they only get this much. In reality, they get this much. You see? And then we also got the issue of the fact that you never was consciously aware, you was not given informed consent that you were signing permission to evaluate. You thought you was getting extra help. Absolutely. And your daughter been in special ed for a whole year, and you were not even conscious of that.
No.
Now, you just had a meeting, correct?
Recently, yes.
How long ago was the meeting?
The meeting was last year.
You didn't have a meeting so far this year?
No.
What made you contact me?
I had no one to turn to.
What was the issue, though? What did you see recently that made you call me today? Like what?
You specialize in special education.
Right. But what did you see going on at school? Like, was it her coming home to say, Mom? Like, what was the thing that got you over the...
I'm going to explain to you what got me. My daughter, like I said, was crying out to me saying, Mom, I'm in this classroom with all these kids, and it's driving me crazy.
Has she been saying this all school year? These first 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
That's psychologically damaging my child because now
I
my
agree
daughter
with that.
had to tell them, my daughter had to lie to them and told them that she felt like hurting herself.
Okay. Which she better never do again.
Absolutely.
Because then you when you do that, you set up a situation where they can force certain things and make it difficult for your mother to advocate for you. You understand? So if it's not true, you don't say it. Never do that. Okay? Okay, so once she did that, they called you.
No. What happened was I went to the school. I said, Sister Phil, what we going to do here? I'm going to do a pop-up. Not knowing they don't do pop-ups anymore because
When was
the laws
this?
changed. This was yesterday.
Yesterday. You were there. Yesterday. At the school.
I'm sorry. I was there yesterday to speak to a IEP team.
So you went to the IEP meeting yesterday?
It wasn't a meeting. I went to speak to one of the members.
Okay.
And I wanted to set up something to get her out of there. But I couldn't because I had to set up a meeting appointment.
Okay, so you spoke with a member of the IEP team. Do you know the position? We don't want the name. Do you know the position of that person? Was it the IEP team coordinator? Was it the special ed teacher? Was it the regular ed teacher? Was it the school counselor? Who did you speak with?
She was the coordinator. She was one of the members, yes.
And what did you ask her, or what did you say to her?
I said, my daughter have an issue where she's in a classroom, and from my understanding, I didn't sign up for her to be in a classroom with children with autism.
Pause. Give me her response slowly. What did she say to that?
She starts stuttering, and she got a little nervous now because I started throwing things at her that she didn't expect for me to know.
Because you watched my videos last night.
Absolutely.
Good job. What was her response? To the best of your recollection, what did she say? And it's always important that parents get the exact response. That's why you never go to meetings alone. You went by yourself.
Yes.
Never go by yourself
I'm
anymore.
a single parent.
Right. We got to get somebody to go with you. Going by yourself is a recipe for disaster because you have no witness to what they said. You always need another set of eyes. Next door neighbor, girlfriend, cousin, sister down the street, brother down the street. Never go alone anymore. Ever go alone anymore. Got to take someone with you. But to the best of your recollection, she got nervous. What did she say?
She couldn't give me an answer because she had to refer to someone else that had the answer for me.
Did she go and get that from them?
No.
How did your meeting end with her?
They got to set up an appointment for me to come back.
Did y'all set it up?
They in process.
What do you mean they in process? She said she got to get back to you?
Now, this is today now. That
Yes.
happened yesterday. This is today.
What happened today? Phone call?
No, I came here,
You went to the school today?
yes, as a pop-up.
Yes.
I wanted to sit in my child's classroom.
Yes.
But I told my daughter when we get there, I said they might just pull out some of the children, so I won't see what's going on in that classroom.
Yes.
As a zoo.
They may.
Sorry to say. So I said, I need you to watch all the kids that comes in the classroom, and when I get in the classroom, who they pull out and never return. But I never made it in the classroom because she said I can't do a pop-up. I would have to make an appointment. So I said, well, I want to make an appointment while I'm here now and present. Okay. She said she'll get back to me because she got to speak to the team members.
So you had an IEP meeting yesterday. Well, no, you had an IEP conversation yesterday.
Absolutely.
You asked, why was your daughter in a class with kids with autism?
Yes.
She got nervous, told you she had to get you that answer because you wasn't supposed to know that they can't mix disabilities.
I was not supposed to know that my child was in that classroom at all.
Right, you wasn't supposed to know that. And then on top of that, you wasn't supposed to know that it's illegal to mix disabilities. Then you go back today for a pop-up, day 2, and they say you have to schedule the observation.
Yes.
That part is true. That part is true. Parents do have to make their intentions known.
Sorry.
No problem. They do have to make their intentions known about visiting a class. But your intuition that one of the reasons they didn't want to let you see the class today is because they have kids in there who don't belong in the same room with your daughter, that hunch may be correct. Schools do it all the time. So she's going to get back to you about an IEP meeting, and she's going to get back to you about observing your daughter's class, correct?
Okay, not just only that.
Go ahead.
I get home, I get a call
Today.
stating that my daughter was bullied by a couple of boys and that she felt like killing herself, suicidal, wanted to stab herself with a knife.
Okay. And what did they say as a result of that?
I ended the conversation short because I told them to put my daughter on the phone because I knew that wasn't true and I knew it was a setup.
Did you speak with your daughter?
I spoke to my daughter briefly because I did not want her to say anything else
Exactly.
in front of them. I cut it short.
Did you have to go get her?
I went and got her.
What did they tell you when you got there?
My child has been bullied, and it was more concerned about my daughter suicidal, about harming herself, than her being bullied. So I tried to explain to her, that's not true. My daughter, this is the first time I ever heard this before, and I don't believe that my daughter felt like hurting herself. I pulled my daughter out. I said, I want to speak to my daughter privately outside the school. I pulled her outside. I didn't want to go into no rooms or nothing, outside. And I spoke to her. She said, Ma, I told them this is because I wanted to get out that class because that class is driving me crazy and I know I do not belong there.
Okay. Did they require of you to have her psychologically evaluated? Did they say?
No, it was up to me.
Okay, good. They didn't require it.
No.
Good. Good. Okay, good. All right. Anything else about your case you want me to know? About the situation involving your daughter. Question for you. Last school year, 7th grade, she was in special ed the whole year. You wasn't aware of it. How did she do last year academically and behaviorally? Any bullying incidents? Was it a smooth year? Tell me about last year because that was her first year in special ed, and a lot of what we do is going to be contingent on that. What do we know about last year?
What I was told today, this was going on since last year with the bullying.
So the bullying is real.
The bullying is real, and the bullying comes in because of her being in special ed. It's picking on her because she's in special ed. And
Are the kids bullying her also in special ed, or are they regular ed students?
No, they are in regular classes.
Okay, so they're regular ed students. Okay. Bullying is not allowed. They should have done something about it, especially since she has an IEP. So that's another issue because you're telling me that this is a carryover from last year.
Absolutely.
Which means they never did anything about it. Was she being bullied by black students or white students?
White.
There's another issue, because now you're looking at a double standard and a racial bias as it relates to dealing with bullying complaints. In other words, if she was a white girl being bullied by black students, would it have been allowed to go an entire year? Methinks not. And I'm pretty sure they know not. So there you go again with the racial disparities. Black child in special ed, female, being bullied by white kids, and it's allowed to go on and persist for an entire year. So that's another issue we got with them. Okay, but academically, how did she do last year? Any complaints? What did they say academically?
Oh, she did say she was doing well. That's all. No complaints. She was doing well. She's pulling up her grades, you know.
Last year, behaviorally, she was getting bullied. Was there any suspensions, threat of expulsions? How did she do behaviorally? A lot of complaints. What did we get last year?
I had a couple of complaints, but other than that, it wasn't nothing serious, okay?
Nothing serious.
Yeah,
Regular stuff.
Regular kid stuff.
Was she ever suspended last year?
No, never.
No suspensions?
Never.
At all in school?
Never.
Okay. No suspensions, but she's in special ed all day. Multiple disability, and you weren't even informed of the first disability. Am I correct?
No.
Wow.
And I thought my child was just getting extra help from a tutor.
Wow.
Another teacher in the classroom, I thought I was told. You know, there'll be two teachers in there.
This is what we're going to do. Princess, if it times out, because you know with Instagram they give you an hour, and then they kill it, and then at the bottom it says, would you like to share? Hit share, and then start it fresh again. Okay? So we keep on going. Okay. Number one, you're going to get a complete copy of her record. You're going to write in a letter. I'm requesting a complete copy of my child's academic record to include all special education, standardized testing, behavioral information, classroom data. I would like a copy of everything. This is my right as per, and I'll go over this with you, as per the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. That allows you to get a copy of everything they have on her. You're going to get that because I need to go through that. We need to find that first eval to see exactly what it said so I can understand why they got her classified with multiple disabilities. That's two. So it looks like they said she got a communication impairment. Based on what? You're saying she never had a speech issue ever or a hearing problem, correct?
No tubes in her ear. She can speak.
So that doesn't make sense. And then they have her speech and language, and you've never noticed her to have a speech problem.
No.
So that's insane. We got two disabilities. You know nothing about either of them.
No.
We have a child in special ed. The whole year, you know nothing about that.
No.
We have a parent who wanted extra help, told she was getting extra help. Instead, she got special ed. Then we got a kid in special ed with an IEP, African-American female, being bullied by white kids. It lasts an entire year. Okay? And then on top of that, we have a child in a special ed class that is blended with ADHD kids, autistic kids, speech and communication based on what they diagnosed her with. Who knows whatever else? Let me tell you what may be going on. The reason why you have all those children in the same class, speaking as a former principal, is when you don't have the money or don't want to spend the money to get extra teachers so the autistic kids can have their own teacher. So the learning disabled kids can have their own teacher. Because here's what happens. If you got a school and you only got one autistic kid, you say, I'm not paying for no teacher for no one kid. I'm going to throw them in with the retarded kids. If I got a child with a disability and they're the only one with it, I'm not paying for no extra teacher. This is how they think. I'm going to slide them in with everybody else. It's illegal. I'm not supposed to do that. It's a violation of faith. The parents are black. What do they know?
Absolutely.
So I believe that school is in major violation. So once you get your paper, first of all, we're going to write a request for the record. We got to meet again. I got to go through your record. You follow me?
Absolutely.
Once we go through the record, you're going to write a letter of complaint to the superintendent.
Yes.
Detailing every issue you had, and you're going to demand an IEP meeting with central office representation. In other words, you want the special ed director present. And y'all going to go through all of those things, right? And then after that, you're going to tell them that you are demanding an independent educational evaluation for your daughter. That's when you find a New Jersey certified school psychologist to reevaluate your daughter and determine if she ever had them problems in the first place. So first the record, then the letter, then the request for the independent educational eval. Now let me tell you where I'm going. Let's say she has a disability. Let's say the independent educational evaluation concludes that your daughter has a disability, no matter what it is. You're going to argue that you do not trust that school district to provide your daughter with her legally mandated right to a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment, because y'all couldn't even do it up until now.
Absolutely.
Look at how y'all lied to me, deceived me, broke the law, and violated my baby's rights, right?
Yes.
So if she does have a disability, we're going to demand that the school district pay for her to go to an approved private school. You follow me? And you got enough. Even though it's only been a year, you got enough. It's going to be a little bit of a fight, but you can get that APS purely based on what they've done. Now, let's say the independent educational evaluation concludes she don't have a disability and should have never been in special ed, right?
Yes.
Now they owe you compensatory education. Now they have to put money in a special account for you to pay for her to get all the extra help she's now entitled to, because y'all had her in a full-time special ed class where she wasn't learning anything. Do you see that? So now they have to pay reparations for your daughter to get the help she needs to eliminate the deficits created by them putting her in a class she should have never been in. Are we clear on that?
Yeah.
So either way, we got them. And even with that, you might still be able to force an approved private school, because you're going to argue my baby was traumatized by that class so much that the only way she could get out of it was to tell them that she was being bullied and she was thinking about hurting herself.
Committing suicide.
Exactly. Now, suicide is major. And I want to say this. And this is how I operate. Whenever a child threatens suicide, and I'm surprised they didn't do this. I'm very surprised they didn't do this. Whether we thought they was lying or not, the way, if I was there, she would have been taken to mental health crisis. And she would have not been allowed back into that school until the psychiatrist, because it's the psychiatrist at the hospital, not the psychologist, until the psychiatrist said that he had done the suicidality assessment and determined that she was okay. It was okay for her to go back home and go back to school.
That's what they're doing now.
Because suicide, the rate and the risk is very high in black children today. You understand? So had I been there, whether she made it up to get out the class, whether you felt she didn't mean it, it wouldn't have mattered. She would have had to go and do that.
And that's what they're doing now.
But see, here's the thing. They sent her home
Yes, they did.
without the assessment. You don't do that. Whenever you have a child who threatens self-harm, whether you think they plan or not, they don't go home. They go to crisis.
Gotcha.
Because guess what? When she got home, God forbid, let's say she came home and hurt herself. That principal is fired. You follow what I'm saying? That counselor is fired.
Yes.
If that girl came home and hurt herself, everybody who allowed her to leave that school without going to crisis loses their job and might go to jail. She shouldn't have came straight home. Okay? That's how I would have handled it. With that being said, I'm also telling you that if she ever threatens suicide, you got to take it to crisis. Because you never know when they mean it.
Yes.
And it only take one time. And I've been in a lot of cases where people thought the kids didn't mean it, and they did. Ain't no coming back from that. So we got to act on that, okay?
Yeah.
And if she doesn't mean it, she don't need to be saying it. Because it's too serious of an issue. Okay? So with that being said, I think am I clear on what we're going to be doing?
Yes.
The records first. The records first. Review them second. Letter to the superintendent third. Demand for an independent education evaluation fourth. Fifth, depending on the results of that evaluation, we're either going to ask for an approved private school or comp ed. If they refuse either one, we're taking them to due process with the state of New Jersey. We're going to take the school district to due process with the state, and we're going to charge them with violating your daughter's right to a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. We're going to charge them for racial discrimination by ignoring the bullying that she experienced at the hands of white children. We're going to charge them with racial discrimination against you as an African-American mother who only wanted help but was misled into thinking she was getting help when she was really getting special ed. With a daughter who's in a mixed special ed class all day, even though your IEP says only 20%, so you're lying on the legal contract that you have with the parent. So we got her. We got her. All we need to do is follow through. We need to move quickly. I'm glad you called me now. You want to know why? Because you got me in September. Don't cry. Don't be upset. Because you ain't the only mother who goes through this. Black mothers go through this all the time. They think we stupid. They think we don't know. And I thank God that he made me a school psychologist so I can help y'all out. Because if this was June or May, then I would have been upset. I would say, why you wait the whole school year? We could have been got on this. You follow me?
Yes.
She did experience a year of it. But at least you caught it. Most parents wouldn't have caught this until the baby about to graduate and they found out they can't read. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay? And if her skill levels are too low, we then have to investigate why they're too low. Is it because she got a learning disability? Or is it because she got a lazy disability? Or is it because she never been taught appropriately at the previous school? You follow me?
Yes.
So even that has to be looked at as well, because I'm looking at the levels and they do appear kind of low.
They are low.
So whether that's motivation, whether that's effort, whether that's interest on her part, or whether it's poor instruction on their part, or whether it's a true quote-unquote learning disability, right?
Yes.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Any other questions?
Okay, with the white students, they was calling her a black gorilla.
The white students called your daughter a black gorilla. Was this reported to the principal?
She told them.
You told the principal?
Yeah.
What did the principal say? Okay. Did he do anything?
No.
When did this happen? How long ago?
Today.
First time
And
they
it
did
started happening last year too.
You saw it happen last year too?
Mm-hmm.
They called you black gorilla last year.
Yes.
Did you ever tell your mother that last year?
No.
Why not?
Because I kept trying to hide it from her until
She know my
this
reaction,
year.
how I react.
It'll hurt
to
you.
them.
You didn't want
Not
your
this
mom
only
to
thing,
hurt.
I react on that. She
I got
didn't
you.
want me to go there and turn up.
And
Never, ever allow a white person to disrespect you because of your race and you let it go. Because our ancestors have been through that for too long and they have suffered too much. And we have a history of standing up, fighting, and even dying when necessary to protect and preserve our honor. Do you understand? We've been through this 400 years, princess. You don't let that go. You don't let that go. You understand? Every time you walk out that door, you represent yourself, you represent your mother, you represent your family, and you represent all black people. And so you have to stand even when you don't, because you are a representation of all of us. And if you let them get away with doing it to you, they'll do it to somebody else. Do you understand? And so you have to remind yourself, this ain't just about me. It's about all black people. That's also going in the letter. That's also going in the letter. Is there anyone other than the principal who you told about them calling you a black gorilla?
I told my last year's teacher, Miss Pett.
Did she do anything?
No.
Okay. Did anybody see you tell her or the principal? Any witnesses to you reporting it?
No. Because
Okay.
she sat me outside and talked to me.
And you just learned about black gorilla today?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you're going to get that record tomorrow. They get the letter tomorrow. You follow me? They get it tomorrow. I need a complete copy of my child's academic record. Okay? While you're there, ask to speak with the principal and report what your daughter said. And did you tell him today as well? My daughter was called a black gorilla yesterday by white students. She told you. My daughter claims you haven't done anything about it. I'm up here to get her record, but I would like to know what are the consequences going to be for the child who called my daughter a black gorilla? And then guess what else you're going to ask for on the spot? A copy of the school district's code of conduct. Make sure you get that.
I did say verbatim what you just mentioned, but it was so quick to push that envelope towards me.
What envelope?
Well, a paper for me to go see a psychiatrist.
They're distracted from your conversation. Okay. This is what I need you to do. First of all, who can you take with you up there tomorrow? It's not a meeting per se. You can really do tomorrow by yourself, but you got to get somebody to go with you to these meetings. Okay. We're going to get you somebody, okay? You're not going in there by yourself no more. I'll find somebody to go with you. Trust me, all right? I know people in South Jersey, but you can't go by yourself no more. No more. We got you. Number one. Number two, don't show no weakness in front of them.
Absolutely.
Do not cry in front of those white folks. Show them strength. You got me on that?
Absolutely.
When you come home, let it out. In front of them, strength.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Number three, you see how they keep diverting you? You want to talk about this? They want, you bring them right back to the point.
That didn't happen today.
Okay, that didn't happen today. Good.
You was
Good.
I took your energy and I brought it
You
in
were
there.
good.
I
Glad
had,
to hear that.
3 people in front of me at the round table, and they didn't handle me well with that. So
Okay.
I had that strength right there.
Okay. And every time we leave a meeting, we document. You need to document what happened yesterday at the school. You need to document what happened today at the school. You want to know why? Because although you think you're going to remember it, when you sit down to write that letter, you're going to forget certain details. Before you go to bed tonight, brainstorm everything you remember about your meetings and your encounters with your daughter's school. So when we do that master letter to the superintendent, we leave out no details. Sure.
By my daughter being full-time confined in that classroom, she is not allowed to go to the bathroom or do anything alone, which she was used to doing. If she go to the bathroom, a teacher will follow her.
Which doesn't make sense.
They would be in that bathroom with her. She said, "Ma, I can't even use the bathroom in private." She said, "Ma, I can't even go and get no water."
And that doesn't make sense because she's not diagnosed with an emotional disturbance. I don't see now, if she had emotional disturbance, conduct disorder, intellectual disability, I could understand being followed.
So I say, wow,
but
you in jail.
Not for communication disorder and speech.
That's what
How do you justify a kid being in special ed all day for communication and speech? Speech is therapy. You don't go to special ed for speech. You get speech therapy. So what is she doing in special ed all day? I believe.
And she knew that. My child knew that. If she so much have a disability, she knew better, that she knew that she was not supposed to be in that classroom.
Right.
She got children jumping all on her. She said, "Ma, I can't concentrate." She said, "I'm the only stable one in that classroom. Normal one."
And until we write our letter, every day she come home, you need to interview your daughter?
Well, my daughter has to help them students in the classroom with their work.
That's not her job. Nothing wrong with her helping them, but that's not her job.
She said she's the only one who knows the work.
Communication impaired, and we don't have any idea as to why they call her communication impaired or speech and language. And I don't hear any speech problem when she talks.
No.
So I don't know what the hell they're doing, but I will tell you this. If you want to put a black kid in special ed and you want to get some money from them, because you know they get paid for this,
Yes.
you get them classified with a speech impairment.
Wow.
It's the quickest way
to
get them in the system and get money.
A little more easy way to do it.
I think we have a major case on our hands. I think we have a major case on our hands. Okay, I was looking for that cover page again. And we got to get all of our documents, there it is, in order, because that goes with this, but this is stapled and that's not. Yeah. She's been in special ed for 4 years. They call her multiply disabled, communication impairment, speech and language, at least. They may even have a third disability. You're saying you never even heard of this crap.
No.
She here we go.
Help. She just needed help with
all she needed was help.
Yes, a tutor, help.
She presents as a student with a moderate language learning disability, characterized by weaknesses in expressive and receptive domains. So they're saying your daughter has a learning disability in the area of expressive language and listening comprehension. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's bullshit. Let me tell you why I'm telling you this. The reason I'm telling you this is because when you classify a child with a learning disability for expressive language or receptive language, okay, it's one of the easiest areas you can qualify them in because it's largely based on your observation and your opinion of the child. It's almost like ADHD. You can make any kid ADHD. You can almost make any kid receptive and expressive language disorder just by saying she don't pronounce things clearly. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they set her up. They set your daughter up to get her out the class.
Yes.
You know how rarely, this is rarely, I can't remember the last time I qualified a kid for a learning disability for expressive and receptive. That girl don't have no stuttering problems. She don't have no articulation problems. She don't have no comprehension problems. She speaks clearly. They wanted her out the regular class, and they shafted her. And the best way to do it was to say it was expressive and receptive language. You need that independent educational eval. Wow. Wow. That's deep. That is deep. Because they didn't say math. Let me see. Wait a minute. Let me make sure they didn't throw that in there. Little low, but I can live with these scores. You follow me? She needs practice.
Yes,
a little low, but I can live with these scores. She needs practice.
She got to pull them out. She needed that extra help.
Let me see here. Communication impaired due to a language disorder. That is absolutely insane. Here's the other thing. They have her classified with speech, right? Yeah. If she's getting speech, and she only been in special ed for 1 year, according to this, she's getting speech. You said she never got it. That's another issue we're going to hit them. Don't worry about that. When you do the letter, we're going to dot on them I's and cross them T's.
Okay.
But here's my point. If she's getting speech, and she only been getting it for a year, you give speech some time to work before you consider the learning disability. Are you following me? Give the speech therapist some time to work with my baby before you graduate her to a full-blown learning disability.
Yes.
Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
They hit her with both at the same time. How do you know the speech wasn't sufficient? How do you know the speech wouldn't have done the job? Now, you maintain she ain't even got that problem. I maintain it too. You understand? Yeah. But even if she did, why not give that a chance first? You hit her with the learning disability and the speech at the same time. They basically used your baby to reduce their class size and to get some money. You are not the only parent who did this. This is one of the reasons why I started this organization, the National Independent Black Parent Association, so we can help parents like you learn the law, learn their rights, and learn how to go into that school and handle their business like a boss. Because that's what you're about to do. Okay? Any other questions before we conclude?
No, that's
Don't let it get to you. And when you go in there strong. Okay? So tomorrow, you're going to ask him what did he do about the black gorilla stuff. You want a copy of the code of conduct. Don't leave without it. If he says he don't have none, go to the main office and get one. But we're going to need that for the letter. You follow me? Because we're going to look at the code of conduct and see what should have happened to the kid that called the black gorilla. You follow me? Yeah. And then when nothing happened, racial discrimination, white privilege. And then we may have to write a letter of complaint to the United States Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights. Do you follow me? Oh, we got it. You just got to stand your ground. You just got to stand your ground. And I just thank God we caught this 1 year into it. I thank God we caught this 1 year into it, because too often I get cases and we don't catch it until they're about to graduate high school. You can still do something about it, but not as much. Right. You caught this 1 year in, so that's the good thing. And we're going to undo it. Okay?
Yes.
So on that note, we want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope y'all learned something about this. I hope your parents out there stop signing paperwork until you read it a couple times. If any of you need to reach Dr. Umar Johnson, D-R-U-M-A-R Johnson, D-R-U-M-A-R Johnson at yahoo.com, or you can call me or text me at 215-989-9858. I repeat, 215-989-9858. 9858. And I have a free Black Parent Teleconference every Sunday, absolutely free, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to call in this Sunday morning, the number is 857-232-0158. 857-232-0158. And the access code is 870-864-POUND. 870-864-POUND. But again, text me 215-989-9858. Okay? Now, Saturday, January the 5th, and I hope you come. Saturday, January the 5th in Philadelphia, I'll be hosting the next regional national invitation training conference for Black parents who want to help us organize the Black Parent Association in your city. If some of you are serious about helping our parents and doing with parents where you live what I did with my sister here in South Jersey, you need to get the training from me. And that training will be from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. on Saturday, January the 5th. Registration will be up next week at drumarjohnson.eventbrite.com. I don't care if you live in Texas, California, Florida, Detroit, Milwaukee, Canada, the U.S. Virgin Islands, wherever you are. If you want to become a part of this movement to save our children by organizing our parents, we want to see you Saturday, January the 5th in Philadelphia. Registration at drumarjohnson.eventbrite.com. Before we end, how do you feel? Do you feel a little better?
I feel that a lot has been taken off my chest right now.
Good. Glad to hear that. Mom is feeling a little better. To the Black community, I have my promise that I'm going to see her through this. Princess is going to get everything she needs. Mom is going to get everything that she needs, and we're going to get through this whole situation. I'm Dr. Umar Johnson, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, and we are signing off. Black Pop.